In this lesson, we're going to use a little bit longer story and learn how to thread it between multiple text frames and even thread it to another page. We're also going to see a great environment called the story editor, and that'll help you do spell check, find and replace, and more. We're going to go to File, Open, and open Rocket Report Working File Copy 3. So this will be in your training folders. I'm already in the folder. You might have to navigate to the folder, and we're going to copy 3. Press open. We learned that under View, Grids, and Guides, we can hide and show the guides. So View, Grids, and Guides, we can hide and show the guides. We're going to turn the guides back on because we finished with the table. We're now going to go to page 3, which is right here. So we're going to just scroll over, and we're going to place this story. Now this story is going to be a special report. In an earlier section, we created a second master page. Right now, this page that we're looking at still has A master applied. So I want to apply B master. So I'm going to go to the Pages panel. We're going to open the menu, and we're going to go to Apply Master to Pages. Now we want to apply B, Special Reports, and we want to apply it to page 3. And we're going to press OK. So you can see now page 3 has 3 columns. It has our special report indicator up here. And it's the way that we designed master page B. Before we place the story, I'm going to click on the headline, which is right here, and highlight it, and go to my paragraph styles, and I'm going to make it headline 20. Again, we're just practicing using the paragraph style tool. There's going to be a story on the page that's already been written, and we're going to place it under File, Place, and the name is Text Center. Before we open it, though, we need to click Show Import Options and unclick Replace Selected Item. We are clicking Show Import Options because sometimes Word, which is where we type the document, automatically formats things that you type without asking for it. For instance, if you were to type a web address, Word automatically makes the URL blue with an underline. That's just one example of formatting that Word does automatically. These formatting attributes from Word are sometimes problematic in InDesign. So some of them are hard to get rid of. So we're now going to press open. It's going to bring up this window. We want to say remove styles and formatting from text and tables. That's going to remove any of that pre-formatted text that Word used. So we're going to go ahead and press OK. It's going to give me a placer tool. In this case, I'm going to place this in the first column. So I'm going to line up my cursor with this blue guide in the far left-hand column, and I'm going to just click. That's going to load the story into the column for me. You can see down here, there's a plus sign. But before we do anything with that plus sign, we're going to go back to the Select tool, and we're going to move this up to our guide at the bottom. We're now going to click the plus sign and load the second column by doing the same thing. Again, we're going to move it up. Still a plus sign, so we're going to click on that and load this third column. You can see that there's still a plus sign, and we're going to want to drag this up. But because we're going to have to thread this to another page, we're actually going to move it up past the guide. So I'm going to just move it up a little further. The reason we do this is because we want to be nice to our reader and tell them where this story is going to go. In a minute, we're going to add some text here so that the reader knows where it's going. Now we're going to come down to the third page. You can see that there's space here. So I'm going to click the plus sign. And I don't want it to just be one column, I want it to be both columns. So I'm going to line up my cursor, and I'm going to click and drag to fill the box. So you can see now that box is filled with the text. Here, I'm going to drag this below this guide slightly because I need to tell the reader that this is continued from another page. Now, I want to do some editing to this story, like spell check, but that can get a little clumsy since the story spans over 2 pages. So InDesign gives us a tool called Story Editor where we can see the whole story in one window rather than flipping back and forth. So first I want to make sure that the cursor is blinking within my story. So I'm going to just double click within the story. I'm now going to go up to Edit and Edit in Story Editor. It's going to bring up this window, which has my entire story in it. I can move this window around, and I can resize it if I want. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And scroll up here to the top. For every new paragraph in the story editor, you can see that it tells you which style is applied. I currently have no paragraph style because I haven't applied one. But if I had applied one, it would be listed over here. Also, whether I have the story editor open or not, it allows me to see invisible or hidden characters like spaces and returns. So I'm going to actually show those hidden characters. So we're going to go up to Type and Show Hidden Characters. So you can see that all of the tabs are indicated with this double arrow, and all of the spaces within the story are indicated with a small dot, though those are really hard to see. When this person typed the story, they actually added a tab into the story, which we don't need, because if we were to add that paragraph style that we created before, it would already have that tab in it. So we're going to actually get rid of the tab that this person typed into the story so that we can format it the way that we want eventually. So in order to do this, we're going to use a tool called Find and Replace. So we're going to go up to Edit, and it's actually Find and Change. So we'll go down to Find and Change. So in this window, I can actually find and change anything. So I could change the word I to we, I could get rid of spaces, I could do anything. And it helps me find those things within the story quickly. So what I want to find is I want to find all of the tabs. So I'm going to come in here to the special characters, and I'm going to press the word tab. So that's going to tell InDesign I want to find all of the tabs, and I want to change them to nothing. I want to get rid of it, okay? So I'm going to say find next, and it's found a tab down here. You can see that. So now it's shown me that it's going to get rid of that tab, so I can press change, and it shows me what that looks like. So you can see that tab now disappeared. Now if I'm sure that that's what I want this story to do for the entire thing, I can press change all, and it's going to change all of those. It's then going to bring up this window that shows me that it's done that 5 times. So I can press OK, and I can press done, and now I'm done doing whatever editing I want in here. So I'm going to close out of this, and you can see it's now formatted that story the way that I want, and I can use my paragraph styling to format that further if I want it. But what if I only wanted to change a few words and not the entire paragraph? In that case, I would use character style. So for instance, something that could be interesting for me to do is to change the lead-in of my story to be a little different than the rest to indicate that it's the lead-in. So I'm going to zoom in on that. And I'm going to actually highlight these words, I have a dream. So I'm going to just use the text tool. I'm going to highlight those. So it could be interesting to make those all caps. So I'm going to use this tool called the small caps tool, and it's going to make everything that is already a capital letter remain the same, and all the lowercase letters into capital letters that are 70% of the height of the 100% general capital letter. So I'm going to just click on that, and you can see that it's changed those out of capitals. It doesn't really seem to match this 12-point font for right now, so I'm going to just make it a little bigger. I'm going to bump it up to 14 so it stands out just a little bit more. So that makes an interesting lead-in. So if I think I want to use that frequently in my stories, I can make a character style. So I can go over here to the character style tool, click on that, and just like with our paragraph styles, I can add a new one. So I'll go to the options, new character style, and I'm going to just call this small caps and press OK. You can see that it's now listed here so that I could use it again. So remember, character styles override any paragraph styles that we have. So now let's go back a little bit. At the end of our story on page 3, we said that we needed to continue or put some kind of indicator to the reader that the story continued on to the next page. That's really easy to do. So I'm going to actually close the character style, and I'm going to navigate down to the end of the story. You can see that I left a small space here. So I'm going to use my text tool, and I'm going to click and drag a new frame in. I actually want to make sure that this frame is touching the story frame. So I'm going to just move it up just a little bit. So now I'm going to write in here, in parentheses, continued on page. And maybe you have pages that are threaded through a lot of different pages and you can't remember what page number you're on, or maybe it's not going to just jump to the immediate next page. So we can actually use a tool to insert a special character in the marker tools. So we can go to type, and we're going to go find the markers. So insert special character. We're going to go to markers, and we're going to press next page. And then we're going to close that. So you can see, because it's not actually touching, they're not overlapped. So when they're not overlapped, they're not touching. You can see there's a small space. It's showing this page, but once they touch, it's showing the next page. So you have to make sure that they're touching. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to go to the other page, and I want to say continued from on this page. So I'm going to zoom in, draw another text frame in here. Remember, make sure they're touching. And then we're going to go continued from page. We're going to go to type, insert special character, markers. We're going to do previous page number. And we're going to close that. So remember, if they're not touching, it's not going to give us that previous page number that we're referring to. Now you've gotten some more practice threading stories between multiple frames. You've also learned how to continue a story from one page to the next using the next page and the previous page option.